Okay.
Yep, that's how I feel.
No, I actually feel pretty good.
I
Just
bet you
kidding.
do. I bet you do.
Oh, this is going to be fun.
Nothing's going to be fun about this.
Welcome to the house, episode 8. If you need homeless or at-risk youth services, you can take it to my house, 300 North Willow Street in downtown Wasilla. If you want to support the Matsu recovery community, you can take it to the Target parking lot at 12 o'clock, and then you can take it to TNR's outpatient with everyone else on the 3rd annual Walk for Recovery this Saturday.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to be there because I'm out of town at a wedding, and I'm really upset about it.
Yeah.
Because this thing is going to be awesome.
Yeah, it's going to be super
This
awesome.
is definitely going to be the best and biggest Walk for Recovery yet.
Yeah. I'm super excited about it. We have so much like community involvement and just so many people like rallying around it this year. I've put it on with like just a minimal budget every year with like pretty much nothing. And we had a good time, and this year it's just, we have a lot more wiggle room and people really showed up for us, and it speaks a lot to the Matsu Valley and how they view recovery. And I'm really excited about it. So
Yeah, I can't wait. We're going to talk about a couple of things this episode. Let's start with how our teams did in football this
let's
week.
do that. That sounds fantastic.
We don't need to talk about the Seahawks game that much. For some reason, I couldn't watch it. It wasn't a local game. Thanks, Fox, or whoever was in charge of that. But I watched the highlights and I was tracking it. And long story short, the Dolphins without Tua are not very good. And also, I sat DK in a league, which I ended up winning anyway. But I was all scared. I was like, no, I need to put in like Smith and Jigba. Like, I'm not sure, he's going to have Jalen Ramsey all over him all game. Like, I maybe need to go to a secondary receiver. And then he just put up like 29 fantasy points. Didn't even matter.
Yeah, 4 receptions, 104 yards, and a touchdown.
It's a great game.
It's a fantastic game, but that's the problem with like that I don't like about DK is like he's very boom or bust, right?
Yeah,
like,
the problem is that he went up against one of the best corner, or that maybe the highest paid corner in the league.
Yeah, but
and
Jalen Ramsey is a little bit.
He's getting older.
Yeah,
but
sure.
Still, and the defense again, fantastic. Although they were not playing against a real quarterback for most of the game, but they got some. The Dolphins had some real good field position a couple of times. They got a couple picks, and our defense locked it down once again. So we are probably the worst 3-0 team in the league right now, I'd say. We've beaten the Broncos, the gritty Patriots, who still probably aren't a playoff team, and the quarterbackless Dolphins.
Yeah, I mean, like, you're definitely not better than the Chiefs, right? But, I mean, there's an argument that you're better than the Steelers. The Steelers' defense is playing lights out.
The Steelers are another crazy 3-0 team. You want to talk about them really quick? I cannot believe they're 3-0.
I can't believe they're 3-0 either. I think I don't think the Bears are kicking themselves necessarily, but they're getting the same level of play from Justin Fields as they're getting from Caleb Williams right now. And I think that defense is just rallying around. Like the Steelers has always had a good, decent defense, but I think that they got like deflated a lot when Kenny Pickett was their quarterback because it was just 3 and out.
Mike Tomlin is only 6 wins away from another winning season now.
It's so crazy.
It's nuts, dude. It's crazy. And like, say what you will about him,
he's a weirdo. He's a full weirdo, dude, and he is very intense. Like I could not imagine being coached by him.
Yeah.
But, I mean, they're going to be interesting to see how they do the rest of the season. They also haven't played any, like, crazy teams. The Chargers are in, Justin Herbert went down, in, like, the third quarter, I think. And so that definitely swung the momentum in the Steelers' way. So, we'll see what they do. The team that is, like, are they for real?
The Vikings?
The Minnesota Vikings.
Bro, it's crazy.
Sam Darnold, baby.
He is
31 fantasy points off the waiver wire. What, dude? They just look really, really good. They look like they believe in their team. They held the Texans to 7 points, and the Texans didn't score till the third quarter.
I can't believe that they did to the Texans what they did.
No, I mean, can't either. I thought it was going to be like a down to the wire type of game, not a And that was a statement game for them. Like,
oh yeah,
hey, we're here.
Hey,
we're here.
Hey,
we're ready.
You getting a fantasy alert?
No, it's just stupid Field Yates. Nobody likes that guy.
Okay, so the most interesting game of the week was also your team's game. So,
yep.
I texted you. I just made sure you were going to be here today.
Right.
Didn't take sick leave or anything.
Oh, God.
So the Carolina Panthers, 0-2 heading into this week. Bryce Young out.
Benched. Yeah.
The Red Rifle, Andy Dalton, old man, in. Against a Raiders defense that, I don't know.
They didn't show up to the game. I don't know where they were.
Oh, so you're saying it wasn't against the Raiders defense?
No,
it was like that South Park episode where the Pee Wee hockey team plays against the Detroit Red Wings. The Panthers put up 36 on the Raiders.
Yeah, Deontay Johnson went off for 122 yards on 8 receptions. A lot of those yards were yards after the catch. Like, he would catch the ball. I was watching Trayvon Merrick. He's like in the middle of the field, and he's like flat-footed, watching Deontay Johnson catch the ball, and he's just like happy feet looking at him as he runs by him. I'm like, what are you doing?
Andy Dalton, 319 passing yards, 3 touchdowns, a QB rating of 86.9.
I think you see it happen every year. You get bad teams that come in, and teams think that they can take the day off, and that they just the Panthers were rejuvenated, obviously.
Yeah.
Because they were like, the morale was awful with Bryce Young.
Yes.
It was so bad. And you get Andy Dalton, and they're like, all right, we got a serviceable guy who can throw the ball. Like, I know he's going to get the ball out at least. Maybe we're not going to be a Super Bowl contender.
Vibes were much better.
For the Panthers, yeah, sure.
The Raiders, on the other hand, the vibes were
not so good. I mean, we responded in the first quarter, and then we could not get anything going. The problem is Luke Getsy and Antonio Pierce, man. Like, you can't say that Antonio Pierce doesn't have a portion to blame in this, because he's like, we want to establish the run. We want to get Zeus 20 freaking carries. Right? Okay, but you don't tell the team that, right? And you're announcing it every week that this is what our game plan is. And then they come out and their offense is run, pass. Run, pass. I am not a defensive coordinator, and I know what they're going to do. Run, pass. Run, pass. It doesn't even. Oh wait. Oh hey, we're getting kind of down here. It's getting a little crunch time. Maybe we should like try to
What'd they do?
Run, pass. Run, pass, man. And it was just so bad. It sucks because you got people like Devontae Adams, who is a generational talent. You got Max Crosby, generational talent, and they're just like wasting away. And there's some controversy because Antonio Pierce came out and they were asking about like the team effort. And he was like, I don't know if the whole team's effort wasn't there. He said, I feel like some people made some business decisions, and we're going to make some business decisions as well moving forward. I don't know what
does that mean?
I know.
What the heck does that mean?
Yeah, a lot of people are like throwing it like Devontae Adams was taking plays off. I mean, he got Jacoby Myers just cracked.
Well, he had Aiden O'Connell throwing him the ball for a bit, so like I would take plays off too.
Yeah, and so a lot of people are pointing in that direction. I don't know. I don't know if like Devon Diablo was like ruled out, and I don't know if maybe he was like scheduled to play and decided not to play.
Yeah. I say that about Aiden O'Connell. He actually had a QB rating of 93.6. 9 for 12, 82 yards.
Yeah, he went. Touchdown. Yeah, he came in and he looked all right, but I mean, he came in the fourth quarter when
it's garbage time.
Yeah, game was over.
I mean, is that your quarterback?
Tank for Shador, baby. Did you see that Baylor game?
No,
dude. Shador throws like a freaking dime with 2 seconds left to force overtime. It was crazy, and it was like a rollout. Dude was like, it was like.
Wouldn't it be lose more for Shador?
Tank
lose more.
Yeah,
you got to have it rhyme.
Yeah, that's
lose
fair.
more for Shador.
Lose more for Shador.
I
like him. I think he's going to be a good.
It sucks because your QB when the Raiders are a contender, it's not going to be with either of these two QBs.
No.
And what sucks is that you get a gutsy win against the Ravens.
Yeah.
And you're playing the Panthers yet. It feels like you should come out of week 3 2-1 if you pull off that win. Like, and now all of a sudden, the way that, I mean, the Broncos have started poorly, but the Chargers are 2-1. The Broncos were able to get a win this week against the Bucks out of nowhere. I don't know.
Nowhere.
I don't know.
That's another one of those games. It's the same thing, right?
There was a lot of those. We were like, oh yeah, the Saints look great.
Yeah.
Saints lose to the Eagles, who only score 15 points. Right. Oh yeah, the Bucks. Baker is him. 7 points. They lose 26-7.
I think some teams tried to take some days off and came out a little bit flat.
But yeah, the AFC West, you got to keep up with the Joneses right now, and you have a game against the Panthers that's got to be a win.
It has to
Andy
be.
Andy Dalton coming in, and the team having a much better vibe check this week. Aside, Panthers are on your schedule. You got to get that win. Yeah. So. Yeah, that's unfortunate for the Raiders.
Yeah.
I mean, it's only week 3, but
season's over. Seasons. You can't beat the Panthers. Like, it's gonna be. You're looking at an 8-win, maybe 7. Team that is just gonna. I mean, they're gonna have some gritty games where they have, more juice than the other team that. They're going to be that team, right, where they're like, oh, yeah, we can take the day off.
Yeah.
And they're going to come out fired up for something and for nothing and win games and lose draft position like they did last year. And
well, now that the Niners have lost, the Seahawks have a 2-game lead on the rest of the division, which I did not think would be possible before the season. Yeah. So, but it's only week 3.
How about them Rams, though?
Yeah, what is going on there?
Yeah, I mean, that was an insane comeback.
Yeah.
And
it's a little scary.
It's a little scary for the Niners because it's like you had control of that game. Brock Purdy had a good game, 22 for 30, 292 yards, 3 touchdowns. Juwan Jennings, who I picked up in another one of my leagues, put up like 40 points with 11 receptions for 175 yards and 3 touchdowns. And the Rams, just like they were patient. How much were they down by? They were down. It was 21-14. No, 24-14 in the 4th.
2-possession game, yeah.
Yeah, and they just it was, and they just came back and it was a really gritty win for them, and they needed a win because
I mean I rather the Rams win that because now the Seahawks have a 2-game lead, right? And I think that the Niners, when CMC comes back, will recover. I don't know if the Rams will do that every week.
Yeah, for sure.
So, okay, next topic. Baseball season, the regular season is almost over, and it is almost playoff time. And I think we've figured out what baseball team you're going to be rooting for.
Yeah.
And they'll be in the playoffs. Yeah. So that's exciting. I told myself on the car ride over, I was like, you know what? I'm not going to turn this into a thing about the Mariners. I'm not going to do it. Don't do it. I was like, it's not about the Mariners. It's just about baseball. Anyway,
the Mariners suck. Is that what we're getting at?
Shohei Ohtani. 50 stolen bases.
Yeah.
50 home runs.
So cool.
First player to ever do it.
Right.
And you're already a Lakers fan, so watch good baseball. Watch the person that's going to be the best baseball player of all time.
Might as well. I think it's pretty crazy when you look at it, and I was talking to you just the other day about how pitchers aren't usually this.
Right.
And so the fact that he's doing this is insane.
Right. Well, the segment we wanted to do is, I don't want to call it baseball for dummies. You're not a dummy. Say baseball, beginner's guide to baseball. Beginner's guide to baseball.
Yeah.
So let's rehash this conversation because you were asking me about it. You were like 50 and 50. I was like, yeah, it's
I don't understand.
It just doesn't happen.
No.
And you were like, well, he's a pitcher, right? And I was like, yeah, that's why he's the greatest of I mean, he needs to have like the only thing that is going to stop him, and I will knock on wood because I don't care who he obviously doesn't play for my team. But when you're talking about a talent at this level, like it is special to be able to live in an era where my kids are going to be like, it's going to be like, this is Michael Jordan for me. Like I get to watch The Last Dance. I didn't get to say, hey, I saw Michael Jordan play on TV. I have seen Shohei Ohtani play on TV before I will find a way.
Michael Jordan play? Ever?
No.
No.
I was way too young.
No.
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 It was like the first basketball game I watched.
Well, see, must be nice. Like I
It
didn't
was
get that.
pretty cool.
I didn't get that. So
And then I got Shaq and Kobe.
before the end of his career, I will find a way to go watch to say like, hey, I've watched Shohei Ohtani play baseball, right?
Yeah.
You don't see. So like one of the questions you're asking me, baseball for beginners, like why don't pitchers pitch? Well, it's because the American League, the correct league, had why don't pitchers hit? The American League,
this is baseball for dummies.
the correct league had a designated hitter for years.
Okay, how do you establish who can be a designated hitter?
Anyone can be a designated hitter.
Anybody.
Anybody.
That's just an extra person in your batting order.
It is a person in your batting order. So you have 9 players on the field when you're playing defense. You have 9 players in your batting lineup, right?
Right.
But instead of your pitcher hitting, you have a DH. So anyone else in your lineup.
And why don't pitchers hit?
Because pitchers spend so much time practicing getting good enough at pitching to pitch in the MLB that you don't have time to work on your swing mechanics and base running. And also,
I think
as soon as you
says otherwise.
Well, that's what makes him like a special magical snowflake that you're never going to see again. Like the other scary thing about hitting is that, you know, you can be hit by a pitch. You can, you know, pull something running the bases. You can, you know, swing wrong and like tear every ligament in your leg randomly. Like the chances of you getting injured once you start batting goes up exponentially. And pitching already, like this year in the MLB, we've seen a ton of surgeries. Like guys are throwing the ball so hard, like they figured out a way to just rip the ball, you know, put insane like torque, like insane breaking balls, insane fastballs, but the human body like can't handle what they're able to throw it, but they're not able to throw it sustainably, right? Like their shoulders fall apart. So it's not only, and he hasn't been pitching this year because he did have surgery. He's just been DHing. But the fact that he's been able to keep this up for like the last 5-6 years now, I think, is nuts. And it's also nuts. Like there are very few guys that you would have in your lineup and be like, this guy is just going to DH because you have a 25-man roster. It's not a big roster, right?
No.
Usually your DH is like, okay, we have 4 outfielders that are regular outfielders and 3 of them will play in a night. And then the other one is DHing, or your backup catcher is DHing. Like usually you have your starting catcher. He's going to play like 4 to 5 games out of the week. And then the other one plays 1 to 2. So he'll go in and DH. Like hopefully he's good at the plate. Right.
Yeah.
But to have someone where you're like the only job that we want this guy to do is just hit bombs. And then also he can also steal 50 bases.
Yeah.
Like that's how good it's wild that anyone is that good that you're just going to have a roster spot for a DH.
So who's your usual DH?
Just like extra outfielder, backup catcher. Like it's just someone that you can count to hit the ball, but you don't necessarily need in the field. Right.
Gotcha.
And the National League, so the American League had the DH. The National League now allows for the DH, which kind of decreased Shohei's value because if he could have pitched he was playing for the Angels in the American League, if he could have pitched in the National League when they didn't have a DH, that's a huge draw because back before the National League had a DH, like pitchers just would go up there and like lay down bunts or just stand there because they don't want to get hurt. Like their coach just told them you're not allowed to swing. It's really interesting. It doesn't make any sense if you don't watch baseball. Right. So, but yeah, the Dodgers, Shohei Ohtani. He's crazy.
Okay, so I understand what a fastball is, obviously.
Yep.
I understand a little bit what a curve. A curve is like where it goes out and in, right?
Curve is it's gonna cut across the plate, like
so it goes out and then it.
Sure. Yeah.
What the heck is a knuckleball?
So a knuckleball, you're gripping the ball like this, right?
Yeah.
And when you release it, I'm not an expert. There's a lot of really great YouTube videos about like the science of how each pitch does what it does, right?
Okay.
But essentially, when you're throwing a baseball, you're gripping it along the seams in some way, like with different fingers in different positions, but you're holding it in a way that the baseball, like the seams catch the air, and based off how it comes out of your hand, that causes it to rotate, faster in a certain direction that causes it to, drop down all of a sudden or cut left to right, or even fastballs will break a little bit. Like if you throw a fastball, it will generally like tail off to the right if you're a righty.
Okay.
A knuckleball, you release it so that instead of the air like catching the seam and the ball spinning, it like flips over end over end with the seam, and you're holding it so awkwardly that it comes out of your hand all at once, and it just kind of like like I don't go watch it. I wish I could give a better answer than that, but it's actually really interesting. Like the science behind why baseballs do what they do is really, really interesting, and I don't want to try to talk out my butt and just be like horribly wrong.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to give like the simplest answer possible.
Okay. All right, fair enough.
It has to do with how you release the ball, right? And that's every pitch. Like, and also now we have it, Wii baseball. It's like fastball, curveball, splitter. Mm-hmm. But now you have like cutters and sliders and all this other stuff, and they're all essentially either a version of a fastball or a curveball, but there's little variations on like, when I release it, if I'm releasing a slider, I'm like holding it like this. Mm-hmm. And because the inside of the ball, my inside finger is like is releasing earlier, mm-hmm. but the outside of the ball with my middle finger is releasing later. That's going to cause the ball to do this, which is slightly different than that. If you're 14 playing Pony League, guarantee you it doesn't matter, just pitch strikes. But when you're at that level, like that slight variation between, I can throw a slider and a cutter, and this one's going to, what most pitchers try to do is you want, your pitch to start in the same place, right? And then do wildly different things. So if I have a fastball, and I throw and it releases here, and then I have a slider and it releases here, but my fastball goes shoop, and my slider goes, yeah! Like
the sound effects are fantastic.
Then if I'm a batter, I'm watching it, and these guys are pitching 90 miles an hour. So you have about that long to decide I'm swinging or I'm not swinging.
Yeah.
And if I see it in the same place and the pitcher goes, okay, fastball, that's ending up here. Fastball, that's ending up here. I see where it releases and I'm like, yep, fastball. And then just, yeah! It's a strikeout.
Okay.
It's the mental back and forth in baseball is really, really interesting. The problem is that you have to, this is why I'm glad we're having this conversation, because you have to understand a lot of the intricacies of baseball to actually start enjoying watching baseball. Like everyone can see a home run and be like, yeah, that's cool. Sweet. Right.
Yeah.
But if you're going to watch, and I haven't watched every Mariners game this year because I cannot bring myself
that was my next question.
To watch them now.
They're like 5 games out of first in their division.
They're not going to get first in the division unless the Astros lose all their remaining games, which to be fair, they have 3 against the Mariners. But what needs to happen is they need to claim a wild card spot. They're 2 games out of a wild card. They've got to win like minimum 4 out of 6, but probably like they can afford to lose maybe 1 game, or they're not going to make the playoffs. I'll tell you exactly what's going to happen. In a week, when we record again, this is what will have happened. The Mariners will make it to the last day, maybe second to last day, but just because they've been the most infuriating team of Mariners baseball that I've watched in a while. I bet you it'll be the last day of the season. They'll have a chance to make the playoffs, and then one of 2 things will happen. Either they will win the game in incredibly convincing fashion, and the team they needed to lose will eke out a win anyway, and they'll miss the playoffs by 1 game. Or the team they need to win will lose, and they will lose a game because they fail to get runs, which will be a perfect microcosm of their problem this entire season. I've watched enough Mariners baseball to know how this ends. I told you months ago that having hope in this baseball team is a mistake. You can't trust this baseball team to do anything.
Yeah.
The Seahawks are 3-0. You know what I mean?
There you go.
The Seahawks are 3-0.
How many games do they play?
162.
That's insane.
And so when you're watching,
and so they have like little like almost playoff series throughout the season, right? Like I heard.
Yeah,
like I was watching a game and they're like, this is the first of 3 this weekend or something like that.
Yeah, you have to change your mentality about the playoffs in baseball because you play so many games that in hockey or in football, the playoffs are large enough that you're going to have like 2 to 4 mediocre teams get in. Like they're good enough to make the playoffs, but they're not a contender, right? Baseball, there's only 12 teams out of 30 that get in.
Yeah.
And you play so many games over the course of the season that if you're a contender, you're in the playoffs. And if you're not good enough to be a contender for the World Series, you're not in the playoffs. And it's just as simple as that. So what makes it frustrating is, you know, you're watching baseball, you watch all season long. I try to watch at least the highlights if I don't catch the game. So I've seen probably 80% of the Mariners games this year, either watching live or going back and watching the highlights. And you have to temper yourself because you're like, there's 162 games. They're not going to win every game, right?
Right.
Which is tough. But on the other hand, if you lose a series in the middle of July to the Angels, just to use a random example, completely random. If you lose series to the worst teams in your division back to back in the middle of July, if you go on these crazy cold runs, then when you pick it back up in September because, it's almost the playoffs. Well, now we have to start trying to play baseball. It's too late because you lost all these games to bottom feeders. You lost a series to the White Sox in the middle of the season. And turns out that those games count the exact same as when it's September and you need to make the playoffs. I said I wasn't going to do this.
Oh, man. Okay. In other news, the Athletics played their last game in Oakland. Correct?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's
sad.
I mean, I don't care.
The owner.
No,
it's sad because
sad.
ownership
It's not sad because Oakland did this on purpose, and
the city ownership and the city of Oakland are getting exactly what they want.
Yeah.
But for the I feel sad for the fans, and Oakland.
Why they've been terrible?
Well, have the fans been terrible? Like the Raiders have some of the most passionate fans in all of football, and their team got ripped away from them. And the A's, when the A's were good,
they didn't get ripped away from them. The A's forced them out.
So this is why you're not sad, is because the A's forced them out. But again, I'm going to say that's not A's fans. A's fans and Raiders fans are the same people. This is A's ownership that it's on. It's not on A's fans.
That's why I'm not like, I guess, I'm sad for the fans and I'm sad for the city of Oakland because they lost 2 major teams and it looks like Vegas is becoming a new powerhouse and that really sucks. But I think it doesn't suck for Vegas. I hope that the A's just like suck forever.
Yeah. I until they sell the team. I wish no good things for the now Las Vegas.
Why are
the
Yankees still so good? I don't understand this.
Isn't there like
baseball, a natural flow of like
look
at Kansas City, because like Kansas City was absolute garbage for like ever, right?
Another good question.
And then they hit and.
So here's how baseball works. And again, there's a ton of really good YouTube videos about it. If you're interested in it, I'm going to do my best to explain it in like layman's terms as far as I understand it. In a lot of leagues, you have a salary cap. And people argue back and forth about salary caps are good, salary caps are bad. You know, like players should be able to make as much as the market demands versus like, hey, small market teams need to have a chance. Baseball is like, okay, you can spend as much money as you want within reason, but we're just going to charge you a luxury tax if you're over this threshold. And it's way more complicated than that. But essentially, baseball says if you want to just spend money to have a contender year after year after year, we don't care, because you spending a bunch of money is going to turn you into one of the top brands in not just the game, but sport. Like the New York Yankees, one of the most valuable sports franchises across, I don't know who the most valuable, I think it's actually probably a European soccer team, if I had to guess. Maybe look that up. But so that's why the Yankees are always good. I mean, yes, it has to do with coaching and with player development, but they pay the money to have the best coaches, the best player development. And then they're able to pay even more money to bring in the best free agents year after year after year, because they're going to make that money back. They're the New York Yankees. They got money to throw around. Compare that with a team like the Seattle Mariners. The Mariners actually have year after year after year, they're top 10 in attendance every single year. But for some reason, ownership has decided that after 47 going on 48 years of this torment, that it's not worth just opening the coffers and paying to have a team that it's a contender. No, instead we're going to keep trying to do the same thing year after year where we get a budget-free agent that had like an okay hitting year, and he's going to show up and hit 170, which, before you ask that, that's a really bad batting average. 300 is really good. Like 230, that's like passable. 170, awful. Spend money or sell the team. Anyway, that's why the Yankees are always good.
Okay. All right. I'm
going to make everything about the Seattle Mariners.
I see that. Okay. My last question is break down the playoff structure and how that works. Like how do teams get in?
Right.
How many get in? What is the series like? How many rounds are there? So on.
And I'm sure when the playoffs start, we'll end up doing another episode kind of previewing everything.
Yeah.
Like I said, it's a long season. There's 162 games. So the playoffs are much smaller. It used to be that 4 teams would make it and 2 teams would make this thing called the wild card game, where they played one game against each other, and whoever won that one baseball game, after 162 games, whoever wins that one baseball game advances to a 4-team per division, 8-team over the course of the league finals. Now the way that it works is you have 6 teams that make the playoffs from each division. So 12 teams in total.
Okay.
The top 2 teams, so they both have to be division winners. There's 3 wildcard teams and 3 division winners. The teams that are division winners with the best 2 records get a bye for the first round. And then the other division winner, regardless of record, which is where it gets interesting, plays the third wildcard team, the last wildcard team to make it in.
Yeah.
Then the number 1 and number 2 wildcard team play each other, and that is a best of 3 series. So
best of 3.
Best of 3.
Oof.
Yeah.
No room for error.
No, which is crazy because it's.
Do they increase over the rounds? Or is it just always best of 3?
No, it does. It does increase. So that's the one part that I want to make sure that I don't get wrong, because I believe that the way that it works is that you go from a best of 3 series to a best of 5 series for the next round. Because the Mariners, when they made it, they won a best of 3 against the Blue Jays, and they lost a best of 5 against the Astros. Because you play. We're used to like the playoffs being, a big, long 7-game series, right? Mm-hmm. But in baseball, you just play so many games that it would not make sense to continue, have 4 best of 7 series, right? Like guys would just fall apart. And plus the season needs to get over because you start next March.
That's not true. Basketball doesn't.
Basketball doesn't do well, the play-in rounds aren't best of 7, but isn't.
Yeah, the play-in rounds aren't. That's a new, like in the last couple of years.
The first round isn't best of 7?
No, it is best of 7.
Yeah, okay.
But that's what I'm saying. Like they go best of 7 every single round.
Right, and so does hockey. So that's what I'm like used to. But in baseball they do.
I guess you do play a lot more games.
Right. Yeah. So you do best of 3. You get down to 4 teams in each division. Then you do best of 5. Now you've got your American League Championship Series and your National League Championship Series.
So there's only 3 rounds?
There's 4 rounds.
Okay.
So American League Championship, National League Championship. That's a best of 7 series. So you got your wild
card round.
Yep.
Your division round?
Yeah, I think they call it the divisional round, yes.
And then your championship round.
And then your American League Championship and your National League Championship, right?
Yeah. So your division championship and then your World Series.
And then the World Series is that last one. So they still do 4 rounds, but it goes best of 3, best of 5, and then 2 best of 7. So you could end up playing another 22 games after your 162 game regular
That's
season.
insanity.
Yeah. It's a long season.
I'm just looking at the playoff tracker, and I don't see them predicting the Mariners anywhere.
Yeah, I don't predict the Mariners anywhere. What are you saying? Yeah, obviously, you're 2 games out of a wild card with only 6 games left.
Yeah,
yeah. Don't suck for 2 months. Try hitting baseballs.
Yeah.
Try making changes. Try adjusting.
Game, isn't it? Yeah.
Really, every offseason, just start by bringing in the best players instead of trying to do this whole like second-hand bargain bin solution that we always go to. Stop wasting the careers of 5 of the best pitchers that this team has. You have 5 of the best pitchers this team has ever had all at once.
Yeah,
based off this season, starting pitching, and you're wasting it.
Didn't Michelle used to work for a baseball team?
She used to work for the Diamondbacks.
Diamondbacks. How are the Diamondbacks?
They made it to the World Series last year.
Wow. Okay, go Diamondbacks.
This year,
maybe that should be my.
There's 6 games. Yeah, there's 6 games out of the divisional
not.
lead.
Maybe not.
Where are they at in the wild card? I haven't looked at the National League in a while. Oh, look at that. They're no. They're gonna make the playoffs.
Okay.
I think. Yeah. They've got
Arizona.
Yeah. Arizona.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll see.
Oh, they're in the division with the Dodgers, though.
Yes. So you hate them now.
No, I hate them. Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Okay.
Michelle.
Okay.
I still like you. I just don't like the Diamondbacks.
Right. Yeah. One last story, really quick. Oh, also Ozzy's team, the San Diego Padres.
Oh,
are
right.
in that division. Right.
Yeah.
Hockey season has not started. The preseason has started, which, it's the preseason. Who cares? Yeah. But one funny story. The Utah Hockey Club, formerly the Arizona Coyotes, are playing their first ever game of hockey. Not regular season, but for the first time, the Utah Hockey Club is out there playing hockey. They're trying to get a power play set up. When you have a delayed penalty, you pull your goalie. Mm-hmm. Because the penalty is called when the other team gains possession of the puck. So your goalie comes out of the net and you get an extra attacker onto the ice. You know that in hockey, right? Your goalie can come out. Okay. Play 5-on-5.
Okay.
With a goalie in each net.
Yep.
There's 6 players on the ice. In hockey, when you're down or when there's a delayed penalty, the goalie can come out of the net to the bench and another skater can come on so that you have a better chance of scoring. Because again, the penalty, the whistle
in the middle of the game.
Yeah, because the penalty will be called when the other team touches the puck, and then the whistle's blown. So you just put your goalie back in.
I'm
right?
lost.
Okay. The goalies can't score, right? They're wearing all these pads. They can occasionally. It's really awesome when the other team pulls their goalie.
Oh, so the goalie gets pulled completely.
Yeah. He just comes out of the net to the bench.
Oh, because they do that fast rotation substitution where it's not
right. So instead of the player getting off the ice and getting on, they just have the goalie come to the bench and they replace him with a skater that can move around and shoot and pass.
Risky.
Well, it's not because it's a delayed penalty, right? As soon as the other team touches the puck, the whistle's blown.
Why?
And then because they have a penalty. So
what's the penalty for?
Just it could be anything. You trip a guy, you hit a guy from behind, you slash a guy.
But you said as soon as they touch the puck, they get a penalty.
No, so they take a penalty, right? Like I trip a guy, right? And then the ref puts his arm up.
What if they don't take a penalty?
Then the goalie stays in the net. I'm saying the penalty process is, I'm not trying to do a beginner's guide for hockey too.
Ridiculous.
But the penalty process is, let's say you have the puck, right?
Okay.
And I'm on the Seahawks hockey team. And I reach for the puck and I get right under your skate and I trip you, right?
Okay.
That's a penalty. You can't do that.
So it's the substitution is off of a penalty.
I'll get there. So I trip you, right?
Okay.
Now, generally, so I'm the ref. I do ref, youth hockey, high school, adult, not a big deal. 13 years strong. So I see that I've tripped you. I put my arm up, right? I'm signaling that, hey, I'm about to call a penalty. It's like throwing a flag.
Yeah.
But I don't blow my whistle until the team that tripped the other team touches the puck. Because if the puck goes right to another player on your team.
That's what I said, so it's off of a penalty.
Yeah, so if the puck goes to another player on your team, I don't want to blow the whistle as the ref. That would be taking an advantage away from you. What if you guys score, right? So we have this thing called the delayed penalty. The ref keeps his arm in the air, and until the offending team touches the puck, play goes on. Well, because of that rule where you can pull your goalie, teams all the time have their goalie come out of the net and they go 6-on-5 because as soon as the offending team touches the puck, it's going to be a stoppage in play anyway. They can't score on the empty net, right?
Yeah.
So we're good. So all of that to preface with the Utah Hockey Club playing their first game. Okay. Delayed penalty against the St. Louis Blues. Yeah. Ref's arm is up. As soon as the Blues touch the puck, play is being blown dead. Utah tries to send the puck up to the point at the top of the zone. They got the extra attacker out there. Puck takes a weird bounce. It goes all the way down the ice into their empty net for the first goal scored by the Utah Hockey Club in their franchise history.
Oh my gosh.
You can take the Coyotes out of Arizona, but you can't take the Arizona out of the Utah Hockey Club.
All right.
And that's how that happens.
Wow.
There you go. You
wow.
got a whole hockey breakdown.
There
so
we
yeah,
go.
just incredibly embarrassing, but it's the preseason. So as long as they don't do that during the regular season, I'm sure we won't remember that.
Yeah.
But anyway, that was a lot of ground to cover.
Yeah, we went over a lot there.
That's okay. We'll be back next week. Hopefully the Raiders have a better week. Hopefully the Mariners.
They're going against Cleveland, so
the Mariners season will be over the next time we talk.
Why does Deshaun Watson look better?
They still lost though, right? They're 1-2.
Yeah, they lost.
Yeah.
But he looks a lot better, and it's driving me nuts.
I know. Just keep praying that bad things happen to bad people. Well, that's maybe not.
Nope. Yeah, don't.
We
do
don't
that.
need. Yeah, you shouldn't do that. That's not. We don't want to condone that. But don't. And sports bring us together. Next time on To the House, it's a whole different conversation.
Yeah,
probably not for this podcast.
Nope.
More of a theological discussion.
Yeah. And we're done.